Hey friends, this is Dolynny TV. The Edmonton Oilers, for the second year in a row, play a Stanley Cup Finals game tomorrow. So let's get to it, shall we? Not waste too much time. The Edmonton Oilers, the Florida Panthers, set to kick off the Stanley Cup Finals, like I said, tomorrow. That means today was media day. That means if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. Content looks much different this year, but I appreciate you being aboard nonetheless. All right, let's, like I said, not waste too much time. There's a lot of news items to get to from an Edmonton Oilers standpoint, starting with non-Stanley Cup Finals related stuff. Roby Jarventie was a guy who was suspect kind of to be signing in Finland there a little while ago for the Oilers, but it was a backup plan all along, as the Oilers just had to make up their mind on him, and he was hoping to come back. And I know fans in Bakersfield were really hoping to see Jarventie get into the lineup this past year. Obviously, the injuries to the knee kept him out, but they will see him in Baco at least this year. If not, he may push up for a job. The Oilers are going to be a much more younger team, I guess would be the way to put it, after this Stanley Cup Finals. One would assume, just based on how some of the contracts will line up and what the Oilers are looking to do with their youth. So Jason Gregor kind of throwing down there that Jarventie signed a contract in Finland in March. Did that as backup plan. Wasn't sure that Edmonton was going to be the place that would re-sign him. Has no clause, as his goal was to remain with the Oilers, and that today did happen, as you've seen everywhere else except here. So we move forward to Stan Bowman talking about Chris Knoblauch. And of course, what you need to know here, the reason I'm talking about this is, if you know anything about the Oilers, is the reason Chris Knoblauch got his job was because Jeff Jackson didn't like Jay Woodcroft. At least that's the real shortened, condensed version of it, would you say? Because up until that point, until Chris Knoblauch became the all-time winningest Oilers head coach in terms of percentage, Jay Woodcroft was. And then he had a really terrible start to the year and just magically got fired the year that Jeff Jackson comes aboard. Again, not saying truly that Jeff Jackson hates Jay Woodcroft, but you get where I'm going. Is it was a quick transition from Jay Woodcroft to Chris Knoblauch under Jeff Jackson immediately last year, after Jackson came aboard back in the summer of 23. So that's where we find ourselves, is an inherited coach for another general manager. Say what you will about Ken Holland still being here last 2 seasons ago, but that was Jeff Jackson's team the whole way. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the job Chris and his staff has done. I've been really impressed how he sees the game. And this is something from Stan Bowman, seeing that, of course, Chris Knoblauch does the same, as we were expecting as Oilers fans seeing as well. So it's good. It's good. Coach, GM, same page. That's always nice to see, and obviously nice to see the love from the general manager. Now, what else we know today, and this one's good to know as well. Corey Perry, like I said, the Oilers are going to be a much younger team next year. Well, at least one would figure, given the cap situation, given the guys pushing up from the minors, and given some of the guys aging out on this roster. That, though, Corey Perry updates today at Media Day that he's never seriously thought about retiring and won't be doing that this summer. Intends to play a 21st NHL season next year in 2025-2026. Great to see Perry continuing to go. Obviously a guy who over the past 3 years really seems to have been on the last legs of his career at every given moment of the regular season. Last playoffs, he was having a rough go as well, if memory serves. And all of a sudden this year, I mean, just a renaissance kind of year for Corey Perry. Go back to how it was many years ago. Just that Scory Perry tagline seems to be popping up more and more. And how many goals does he have these playoffs? 7, 8? Who knows, maybe 12. Seems like he's scoring every single game. You need a big old goal. So obviously with Hyman out, he's on the top power play unit now for the Oilers. So he's going to benefit here a lot in the Cup final, especially a guy like Corey Perry who knows how to get into the grill, under the skin of the defense, all that, and get going a little bit here. It's going to be a good time to have Corey Perry on the top power play unit. So awesome to see for Mr. Corey Perry that he's not ready to hang him up yet. And then, of course, we move forward. Whoa. What am I doing here? No, we skipped ahead. You saw a sneak preview. We'll get to that in a moment. Stu's dialed in. I've talked a lot about how really just everything about Stuart Skinner just kind of got thrown out the window here in these playoffs. A guy who was supposed to come into the playoffs with a little chip on his shoulder, something to prove, goes down 0-2 against LA, gets booted over the crease. Cal Pickard comes in. Stu, Dustin Schwartz, whoever else they got going on, work on the game, get it going, and well, Stuart Skinner is now 6-2 after Pickard's injury. 1.73 goals against average, 931 save percentage, and 3 shutouts. That is absolutely fantastic to see as well for Stuart Skinner, who desperately needed a good performance in the end of that Vegas series. Again, losing 2 years out of the past 3 to Vegas would have been heart and soul crushing for Edmonton Oilers fans. Stu Skinner brought us back from a rough Game 3 with 2 straight shutouts to close out that series, and then again for a second year in a row continued his dominance over Dallas. You love to see that. I mean, it's kind of been a weird path for the Oilers, going through Vezina candidate Darcy Kemper, going through, of course, Adin Hill, who did what he did to us 2 years ago, and then Jake Ottinger, who traditionally, just like Connor Hellebuck, an elite goaltender in the regular season, and the Oilers absolutely, throw him to the curb in round number 3. So awesome. You can see I'm struggling with my words. I didn't expect to be doing this here. So Corey Perry, actually I already talked about Corey Perry, never mind. I skipped ahead one slide before I got going. Okay, that makes sense. Anyway, this one. Have fun with the title all I want. Let's actually discuss about the business of the matter. Connor Brown, game time decision for Game 1 of the Cup Final tomorrow. I think the news was yesterday that he'd be available for the Oilers. This one, again, that's why the little comment there at the top says check the cupboard. That'll tell you if Connor Brown's in or out tomorrow. But again, the Oilers' depth on the roster is so dang important, because you've got guys like Jeff Skinner, you got guys like Victor Arvidsson, you got guys up and down, Matt Savoy, Noah Philp, James Hamlin, Derek Ryan. There are so many guys to call upon that are all qualified to chew up 6 minutes a night in the NHL playoffs. Obviously, the Stanley Cup Final may be a little bit of a different story for the Oilers, given those guys. But honestly, the Oilers have so many options available to them. And they're also down Zach Hyman. They're literally down Zach Hyman and Connor Brown, and we're still not panicking. 2 of our top right wingers, and we're still not panicking. I mean, like I said, it helps that Corey Perry is absolutely dummying it right now for the Oilers, but it's still insane to me that you can lose Zach Hyman, you can lose Connor Brown, and you can sit here and laugh and not be concerned one bit about what's going to happen to the Oilers' right side, which, you know, traditionally in the history of this channel has been a major concern for Edmonton Oilers fans. So that's where we leave you. It's Game 1 tomorrow. I'll be on the couch in Crossfield, enjoying the heck out of it. You friends enjoy the hell of it as well. And we'll meet you down there. Game 5 Saturday, not this weekend, next weekend. So we look to do that big thing on home ice. And yeah, three series in a row. You get my drift? Let's go. I'm up on out of here.